The Vox Adpocalypse, started by a one Carlos Maza at Gay Wonk. I write strike-through for Vox.com. Marxist pig, self-described. Tucker Carlson is a white supreme. IG, Gay Wonk. Versus Steven Crowder at S Crowder. YouTube.com/Steven Crowder for all you need to know. Join hashtag mug club. One person has a very questionable description. First, he calls himself a Marxist. That already means that he's not human. He even says as much because he calls himself a pig. And he also slanders someone by calling them a white supreme, which is not true. Tucker Carlson is pretty much your standalone conservative. Carlos Maza, the same person advocating for assault, milkshaking, on Twitter itself. Because he's verified and because he works for Vox, this man, this self-proclaimed Marxist pig, thinks it's okay to assault people. Make no mistake, throwing a milkshake at somebody in the United States of America is assault under the court of law. Unfortunately, this man has not faced any punishment for his actions. Instead, he's waged a Vox Adpocalypse against Steven Crowder, who has been demonetized by the garbage heap you call YouTube, run by Google, who, as we know, is recently under investigation by the DOJ and the FTC for antitrust violations, and who are under scrutiny for censorship bias and left-wing insanity. Let's take a look here. Angelo John Gage says, "Tell me, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Google, how are your obvious..." Hey, that's me. Biased purges of users and their content any different from this? Hashtag Wednesday Thoughts, hashtag Vox Adpocalypse. And here you can see, book burning. Because that's what we do these days. Screw those right-wingers. They don't deserve to have an opinion. Only the left gets to call people names and ruin people's lives and dox them and commit crimes and advocate for assault and try to destroy Western society and face no consequences. Bridget Fetisy says, "It's not a slippery slope." Tim Pool says, "Vox Adpocalypse. Now they're taking out history channels because history is racist too. Mr. Elsop History. YouTube have banned me for hate speech. I think due to clips on Nuts policy featuring propaganda speeches by Nuts leaders. I'm devastated to have this claim levied against me and frustrated. 15 years of materials for hashtag history teacher community have ended so abruptly." Because if we ban history, it never happened. Funnily enough, they haven't banned all of the socialist, Marxist dictators like Stalin and Mao, who killed tens of millions of people, making the holo look like an absolute joke in comparison. The death toll of socialism and Marxism is insurmountable. Tim Pool says, hashtag Vox Adpocalypse was Carlos Maza and Vox dropping a nuke on YouTube, taking out tons of innocent creators, like journalist Ford Fisher to get one guy, dropping a nuke on everyone to get one guy. That's how the left operates. Burn everything. Robbie Starbucks says, buried lead on Vox Adpocalypse story at YouTube. Plan to boost authoritative sources and limit recommendation of harmful misinformation in late 2019. Perfectly timed for the 2020 election. Does anyone doubt they'll use this to boost left-wing content and flip votes? Frank Sisto says, man, Twitter's blowing up with all this talk about hashtag Vox Adpocalypse. I'm a pretty liberal guy, but silencing opposing opinions ain't it, chief. This image need to be spread around more. Just because I disagree with you, that does not mean I hate you. We need to relearn that in our society. Hashtag Vox Adpocalypse. Agent J09 says, Vox literally starts the third adpocalypse. Every single individual creator on YouTube. Steven Crowder says, the concern with Vox Adpocalypse is how quickly and without warning YouTube can remove independent creators' revenue. Ali Al-Rizvi says, I'm anti-censorship and anti-deplatforming. But is demonetizing the same as deplatforming? Oh, fuck you. Okay, so another thing about the hypocrisy, why the left can do whatever the fuck they want, and why conservatives can't. So Colbert uses a gay slur. He uses a lot of slurs, actually, on a show. And they're asking, yes, at Team YouTube, I think a lot of us will want an answer to this. Would Colbert's video skit of me getting shot violate your standards? Now, he's done much worse than that. He said slurs on a show, but he never gets punished. I wonder why. These people want war. These people want a war. A literal war, not just a cultural war. They want a war. They want things to go so far that we have no choice but to defend our liberties. They're so sick. Carlos says, was blocked just for sending that. And this is to Carlos Maza. You need to stop going on Twitter and YouTube if everything that gets posted offends you. Yeah, he's a sensitive, emotional, unstable, evil journalist who's trying to ruin everything because he makes propaganda for Vox. Disgusting. Jessica Fletcher says, over 50,000 people watching S. Crowder's live video explaining the hashtag Vox Adpocalypse right now. People are really fed up with the double standard and big tech censorship. Vox Adpocalypse is trending on Twitter. We'll see how long that lasts. Darren Williams said, hashtag VOD Adpocalypse. This is for you at S. Crowder. Hi, Darren. Your YouTube Premium membership has been canceled, and we're sorry to see you go. Yeah, if anyone's paying for YouTube Premium, cancel it. F them. Tired of this garbage. You know what this really highlights is one simple fact. The left wing absolutely controls big tech, and that's why we have big censorship. It's why nobody's allowed to have an opinion, why the right wing is being suppressed, censored, not allowed to speak, deplatformed, depersoned, doxxed, deboosted, the whole 9 yards. And why these scummy, evil journalists are allowed to do whatever they want, insult whoever they want. He literally defames and slanders. That is a crime. He advocates for milkshaking. That is a crime. It's assault. This is America. We also have free speech. And yet, Steven Crowder is going to be demonetized? Are you fucking kidding me? Do you know how sick I am of this platform? Do you know how sick I am of the left? Do you know how sick I am of all these people? Here on Red.com, breaking, YouTube just caved and demonetized Steven Crowder's channel. After initially signaling they wouldn't ban his channel, YouTube has apparently decided to hand perpetual whiner Carlos Maza a consolation prize. They have demonetized Steve Crowder's YouTube channel, meaning he can no longer make ad revenue off his videos. Update. On our continued review, we've suspended this channel's monetization. We came to this decision because the pattern of egregious, oh my god, he made some jokes, how dare he? Oh, but we won't ban Stephen Colbert. He's cool. He's a left-winger. He can say whatever he wants. It's okay if he says slurs. Actions has harmed the broader community. Oh, the broader community, huh? Yeah. Totally has. I totally believe you. And it's against our YouTube partner program policies. Team YouTube. You're local Marxists. This is cowardly garbage. After initially saying that Crowder had not broken in any rules, he hadn't. They apparently got enough to push back to semi-reverse their decision. Some of us warned of this back when Alex Jones was banned. You didn't have to endorse Jones' silly rantings to understand that removing him from the site was a slippery slope. It's just a matter of time before even more mainstream shows, like The Ben Shapiro Show, are removed because they are publicly endorsing a scientific view of sex and gender. This isn't going to be the end, and this is the time to fight. We'll see how the right responds to this. So this is a good little post here. It sums up the situation quite well. Journalists are evil. The mainstream news is trying to destroy independent creators because they want to take over. They want to be able to levy their propaganda and control everyone. Meanwhile, the independent creators are trying to give you the red pills so that you can wake up, smell the Marxist programming, and fight back against the corrupt elites and the establishment. The so-called villains have become the heroes, and the so-called heroes have become the villains. That's the world we live in today. That is the deep call to fight that we feel beating like a drum in our heart. Beating harder and harder as time passes on, and more of these journalists come to take away our futures, take away our nation, take away everything we have, all of our freedoms, all of our rights, all of our abilities to exist in the modern era. Carlos Maza is the enemy of the people. He's the enemy of all YouTube creators. He's the enemy of everyone who wants to speak the truth. This disgusts me. YouTube disgusts me. They caved to a madman, and they do not realize the cost. We live in not just 1984. We live in a brave new world. We live on Animal Farm. We live with Harrison Bergeson. When I was young, I was an edgy boy, and I always thought the future would be an utter dystopia, gray, where we would all be slaves. I used to think that was the future I had to stop. But never did I think, not in a million years, that it would accelerate so quickly I'd see the birth of that dystopia in my lifetime. But here we are, in Clown World. Honk, honk. But that's merely the obvious.